People facing challenges in the criminal justice system sometimes want to know what's going on in there. My name is Michael Santos, and on behalf of our entire team at Prison Professors, I really want to thank you for being a part of our community. I made really bad decisions as a young man, just to be fully open and transparent. In 1985, I started trafficking on cocaine when I was 20 years old, and as a result of those bad decisions, I was arrested, I went to trial, I was convicted, a judge sentenced me to serve 45 years in federal prison, and I was incarcerated for 9,500 days. But I learned a lot of lessons in there that I hope will be valuable to you. I specifically hope it will be valuable to people who are going in who really need to have that hope and inspiration that something good can happen. Well, today, things are different from when I went in. When I went in, there were no mechanisms for an individual to work, to reconcile with society, or to create opportunities that could lead to an earlier release date. That's no longer the case today, because today we have all types of we have all types of legislation that allows a person to be extraordinary and compelling. And to the extent that a person is extraordinary and compelling, that person can argue for stakeholders to release him earlier, not necessarily to get them out of, to end the sentence, but at least to serve the sentence under home confinement where the person can be home with their family. So it behooves every individual to learn as much as he possibly can and to figure out, how do I build a record of being extraordinary and compelling? Or how do I build a record that will qualify me to participate in programs that can lead to an earlier release date? So in today's video, I want to share with you a letter that I think is really great news from federal prison. So I'm going to switch my screen here because I'm just like a one-man video show, and kind of reveal this letter I received from a person who's currently serving time inside the Federal Bureau of Prisons. And he wrote this great letter to me that I'm just going to read to you. I wish that I could open it all the way. Maybe I can, so that you can see everything as I'm scrolling down here. I did try to block his name and his registration number because he might not want me to release it, but the news is what's so inspiring for somebody who's going into the system. And of course, I will publish all of this right on the website so that you can see. So here's his nude. Hello. I hope you are doing well. I thought it was a good time for an update. It's been 6 months since I showed up here. As nervous as I was on that first day, knowing I would spend 2 to 3 weeks in a cell, 24 hours a day for quarantine, I also felt a sense of joy, happiness, and relief, knowing that I would finally begin putting this whole saga behind me, more like a perverted social odyssey into some unknown world. Now, this is just to give you some backstory. This is a white-collar guy. He's an entrepreneur. He built a business that was generating north of $30 million a year in revenues, but he made some decisions in the course of business that resulted in him becoming a target, and that didn't only face civil problems, he faced criminal problems and got a 48-month sentence, as I recall. So here, continue with his letter. Believe me, I didn't want to come in, but I had no choice. I remember thinking to myself, literally, I have no choice here, or at least no other choice that doesn't bring greater negative consequences. I'm going to do this here, and here we go. So I think a lot about that day and the many others that have experienced the same, and the idea of I had no choice. There's no off-ramp, nowhere to go but inside some small cage deep inside behind barbed wires for a moment in time, a day, a week, a month, who knows how long into this unknown world. Well, the first thing to go, complete self-agency. So that's true. Although I know he's serving his time in a minimum security camp, which is a lot less than perceptions of what prison's like. So first thing to gain, inner strength, determination, balance, and a deep, seething internal drive to overcome whatever they were going to throw at me next. When I had come to learn about this wretched system, I was going to get to see firsthand, here we go, and what a circus it turned out to be. This guy has got a great attitude, you're going to see, because he was able to overcome a lot of the challenges that really send a lot of people on a kind of this cycle of despondency. But he's found a way to develop strength. My research had shown that many, many more people who became entangled in this so-called justice system are facing much longer sentences than I was. Go ahead and search what the average federal sentence is nationwide. It is a strange amount of time, somewhere around 14 years. All those people, all that time. And after being here, getting to know many of those folks who have been down for those 14 years, I listened to their stories. I continue to feel a deep sense and sadness for the impact it has had on those men and their families. But at the same time, it makes me grateful knowing that I did not get swept up into that level of tsunami. When you stare into a man's eyes who has been down, and that's, he uses the parentheses, meaning incarcerated, for over 20 years for a nonviolent drug offense that took place in his 20s, who has endured this life for so long, but under much harsher conditions, you cannot help but ask yourself, why does our society allow this to happen? Or when you see an 82-year-old man who cannot even walk himself to the bathroom at night, so he defecates on himself, and he doesn't know where he is, and the only people to help him are other camp occupants. You kind of ask yourself, what is going on here? And it's not like those people are just the margins. These are the many people that I am surrounded by on a daily basis. All kinds of people. You name it, it's a microcosm of society itself. And of course, that's accurate. Even if a person is going into a minimum security camp, that person is around people, well, like me. I was in prison for 17 years by the time I transferred from a regular prison to a minimum security camp to do my last 10 years. And prior to that, during those 17 years, I'd been in high security penitentiaries, medium security federal correctional institutions, low security correctional institutions, and then finally I went to a camp. And I can say that as somebody who's gone through it all, there's a sense of liberty really that comes every time somebody goes into a lower security level. But for people who've never been anywhere else, it's a bit disconcerting to be around people that have been incarcerated for so long, or it's disconcerting to see people. You wonder, why is this guy in prison in the first place? Like the guy you just described, he's 82 years old, he can't even walk himself to the bathroom. And can't we as a nation do something better? Well, the answer, of course, is yes, we can. And that's the reason that our team works so hard at Prison Professors. We're striving to change this system. And that's really my job, is to spread more awareness onto the criminal justice system and show pathways and strategies to become more successful, even for somebody who's going through there, or to wake American taxpayers up and help them understand, hey, there's a real need for reform so that more people can come back to society strong with their dignity intact. And so I create a lot of programs, but we have a lot of things on our website that you should be able to learn so that you can help yourself, just like my friend did. And I met with this young man before he surrendered, and I have a lot of respect for him, but I'm super enthusiastic to read, I think, the next phase of his letter. I think about my life on the outside, and sometimes I would say to myself, it can't get any worse than this. I would feel sorry for myself or situation at times, as everyone does. But after being here in this prison for 6 months, I can affirmatively tell you I was very wrong. It can always get worse, much worse. And that doesn't just go for someone facing prison. It goes for all of us at any given moment. This experience has given me a much deeper gratitude for life, for my life, and the vast opportunities that await me over the next several decades. So, as challenging as all this has been, swallowing all the BS that landed me on my head one day back in late 2018, it's only strengthened my resolve for life. As one person described, like a volcano, pressure building, where one day it will erupt. What is really wonderful about this place is that among the many men is that an overall tone of gratitude. If you were to go around a room of 50 or so guys and asked about their day on a scale from 1 to 10, how happy they were today, 95% would say a 9 to a 10. This actually happens, and I couldn't believe it. I would have never thought. How could a guy in prison be happy? Well, I can tell you, it's because you're living a deliberate life. If you're creating tools, tactics, and resources to prepare for success, it doesn't matter where you are empowered. I knew that I was always working hard to build a better life for my wife, for my family, and because of that path, opportunities opened, just as this young man is finding. One way a guy feels gratitude here, just look across the street at the FCI. That's the medium security prison. Now, for a minute and see the double barbed wire fences and barbed windows and the old buildings that look like death camps. Well, that's kind of, it's funny to me to read that because I was in those places and that's nothing like that, right? We create the happiness that we want to feel regardless of where we are. And yes, it's a little tougher in a medium security prison, but I can tell you when I transferred from a high security penitentiary to a medium, I said, wow, I feel so free because things were so much different. But reality is that we always can create a better life for ourselves regardless of where authorities keep us. He says that you think to yourself, there are many guys in there that will never get a release date. Well, that may or may not be, right? I mean, I had a 45-year sentence. I served 26 years, but the law has changed, and because the law has changed, there are more opportunities today than ever before, but it's all about building an extraordinary and compelling record. They will die in there or be the same age after long and forgotten for what they know. Well, I don't know about that. That could happen. It may not happen, but we can always choose how we're going to respond. I speak from experience and I encourage other people. Learn as much as you can about the system and then figure out a way how to succeed anyway. A whole life just taken. Bad guys, well, maybe some people made some bad decisions. I never thought I would feel so much gratitude just by looking at that higher security prison across the street. I can't help but find joy in the fact that I will be leaving soon. Yes, in February, I took a new job working what they call the training center. A guy who had been here for 4 years was released because of the First Step Act, and I was offered the job by one other person who works there. And it's a great job for sure, because you have to have a job here or you're washing dishes, even if you are 82. It's a nice size reprieve from the camp, and the men and staff say it's the best job on the compound. Well, I'm really happy that he got that job. It is the little things that add up that help create small comforts in there, like I was on the outside, that many people take for granted. What I learned here, like in life on the outside, the quicker you figure out the ins and outs of camp life, the better. And the best way to do that is to gather information and make connections with people. This allows a man, when he gets here, to quickly optimize the experience and get comfortable. What's really interesting is to watch people when they first show up, stripped of everything, all resources they're used to having on the outside, their networks, etc., and see how they are surviving. Mostly mental emotion survival. You quickly see that men who have got survival skills and the ones who don't. I always try to help them. Some are glazed over like they just had a lobotomy. Some wander aimlessly for a few days. Some try to talk themselves out of the fact that they are here. But if I can help, I always do. You see, there's always strength. We can always build our strength when we're in struggle by helping somebody else. And that's what we try to do here at Prison Professors. Everything here on our site, you can consume and learn and grow stronger. And that's what I try to offer to everybody. Maybe it's just some friendly words, introducing them to people or answering questions. I do my best to help whoever I can. But you see who is a survivor and who's not a survivor as they make their transition, some of whom will be here for years. A social experiment. I happen to have a mouse in, to say the least. Okay, well, my days now here are spent reading a lot of books, exercising like an Olympian athlete, mostly 2 times per day, studying business, group abstract, business development sessions, and as you can guess, taking a deep dive into getting to know some different people. I find people and their experiences fascinating. The different relationships I have formed while under this institutional umbrella of corrections has been rewarding and intriguing, to say the least. Better than any TV series. Believe me, you seriously cannot make some of this up. You take a man, stripped him down of all his power, all things he has attached his identity to on the outside, put him in green khakis, and they either build character or they become something else. If they become something else, it's even more entertaining to watch. They get stuck in the past or are looking toward the future. The guys who get stuck in the past typically become ostracized. No one wants to hear it or why they got messed up by the system. No one cares here. This type of hunt around for others to listen to their stories, suck the air out of the room over and over again. Almost like a guy who keeps talking about his high school football days. That is right. It's over, bro. Best way I've seen guys integrate is to accept the world as it is, not how it should be. Boy, I love this guy. He is talking about, really being successful. And you can read all about it in Earning Freedom. Because let's face it, the U.S. government has a way of always winning. The only question is, how many pounds of flesh are you going to give them until you say mercy? Good advice. So diet is a big one around here. A few guys I know have lost well over 100 pounds in less than a year, despite the food options. When I see how they work their diet, it makes me think about all the excuses people on the outside have to lose weight. It reminds me of how good I have it at home. There's plenty of opportunities here to stuff your face with sweets, carbs, and garbage. I came in at 205 pounds, my heaviest ever. Right now, I'm a solid 180, so he's dropped 25 pounds. Good for you, buddy. I can easily do 25 to 30 pull-ups straight, 1,000 push-ups a day, and keep going. That's what guys do if they're not sitting around playing bocce all day or pickleball. Now, the sun is out, it's baseball season, and teams are starting to form. I will not be participating. If all looks normal until you get hurt and realize that an x-ray or any real medical care is about 2 to 3 months away if something happens. Triple antibiotics is not going to cure very much. Oh, I forgot. We have Band-Aids from the commissary should you need it. His girl came to visit him last Sunday for the first time in 3.5 months. We had a great visit for 4.5 hours and no masks, but no one really wore them before anyways. So I was able to see her pretty face and sit close to her, but no touching, no hug, even though the facility is at a level 1 for COVID. Maybe once the country starts to get their 10th booster shot, we can start to hug. Things move slowly here when it comes to policy, so I will take the mask thing all day long. The right hand rarely knows what the left hand is doing. It was great to see her, and we really connected. She continues to be the grounding force in my life while I'm on this odyssey, and she does an amazing job making sure I stay hyper-relevant with my son. And when I call her, I typically get the I love yous or good nights, and I feel just great. I'm going to skip kind of past that personal stuff. Now, speaking of coming home, big news. This is the best thing I want to share. This guy, remember, was serving 48 months. I was called into my case manager's office for my team meeting. Team is a technical term, but there is nothing team about it. It lasted about 1 to 1.5 entire minutes. I got the extra time. During the meeting, you sign some papers, and that's it. But great news today for me. She said that exactly, I am putting you in to go home right after the RDAP program. When does it end? And she said October. And I said, yes, October the 7th. And she said, then it would be October the 8th. That's when you're going home. And she typed into the computer, and that was it. That is really great news because until today, all I could do is estimate or guess when they would release me. You just never know with the BOP until they alternatively tell you that something and she has the power to determine when I leave. You really cannot count on anything with them unless you get word like I did today. So with those words, her spoken intention, that means that I am on the back stretch of this. I am overly grateful that my time here is limited. You know what I couldn't see the light before? I can see it now. The door. One step closer to putting this behind me and moving on with my life. Like a cannonball just waiting to be fired. That will put me inside for only 12 months with only 6 exact months to go. Super exciting stuff. I hope you enjoyed the latest and the greatest update. Right now, I am going to get on my sweats, do some yoga in the grassy field, work out around the track, 200 pull-ups, and enjoy the sunshine outside before I come in for my business study group with the guys here. Seize the day, they say. That is what I am doing, and you will continue to do every day. I'll see you on the flip side, and that is what I wanted to share with you. I know that if you're watching, if you're on the Prison Professors program, you might be living in some challenging times. You might be living in struggle. And I know because I was there. I was in there for 9,500 days. So I certainly know the prison system, but I also know that every individual has the power within to get a better outcome. Please read through all of our content here. You can spend all day, you can watch videos, you can read. If you want to talk with somebody, that's fine. You know how to do it. That's all that's available. But I give everything away for free, including my time, because I believe in you. And I want to see as many people as possible come home strong with their dignity intact, with opportunities to thrive and live a life of meaning and fulfillment and relevance. We want to see good news for you. Even if you're living in a challenging time right now, make sure that you learn what steps you can take today to begin preparing for a better outcome. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, please do subscribe to the program. If you're listening to us on iTunes, please go ahead and subscribe to us on our Prison Professors podcast. And just work hard to be the change that you want to see in the world. If you subscribe, you can get our newsletter where we're publishing new content every day. And we do that because we believe in you. I am Michael Santos. On behalf of our entire team at Prison Professors, I believe in you. Thanks.